folks, we got a lot of information from the Reawaken conference filled with warriors from around the earth. We'll look at amazing clips from that conference in Tennessee. So some more from Davos also. Great comms out there and more. I was just really impressed with all the folks there. Great seeing so many, and especially the speeches from President Trump through his son Eric Trump and some more. It's absolutely amazing. Citizens across the country are raising concerns over a surge of violent crimes in their neighborhoods. For example, reports are revealing some cities seeing crime rise as high as 167%. This is why tens of thousands of preppers are getting the fighter flare flashlights. Anyone, regardless of age or experience, can use its powerful 800 lumen bulb to signal for help in an extreme emergency or blind attackers with its blinding strobe light. Break glass with its glass breaking hammer, charge your phone with its attached charging bank, and power all with its built-in solar panels. Wow. So get the Fighter Flare flashlight for 15% off during the New Year's sale. Go to fighterflare.com in the description box below.
Let me tell you what I think he's doing. Okay. So do you guys remember when he first said warp speed, vaccine is going to be ready in 9 months?
Of course.
Do you remember what Biden, Kamala Harris, and everybody on the left said?
I wouldn't put that on my body.
I wouldn't
Yes.
take. Okay.
Yes.
So let me tell you what he's doing.
So I wanted to start with this clip. It's interesting. Normally I start with some big headliner type stuff, but I just felt like this needed to be the beginning because we're going to talk about this more at the near the end of the video about the jabs and what have you. And everybody's seems to be going on the Trump bandwagon, get knocking against him because of the jabs. And again, it's coming up. So PBD, I saw this clip. I said, you know what, we're going to start with this one. Then we're going to show you President Trump speaking through his son Eric Trump at the conference and some more. But this is great from PBD saying Trump's strategy in defending the vaccines is to set the bait for the FDA and Democrats. Absolutely amazing.
People think this guy is like a lightweight, just emotional, all this other stuff. He is making the left. Okay. Imagine if it gets to a point where the left now starts saying we have to investigate the credibility of vaccine, whether it was the right move to do or not, and it was all Trump's fault. Okay. I don't know if you understand where I'm going with this. So he may be cornering them to have to come out and say, well, some of the studies shows maybe this is not good for you and heart attack and all this other stuff.
He's a political animal.
He's good. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
he's a gangster.
This guy is just maybe toying with them to get CNN to respond, to get that clip and say, boom, motive. I'm going to run with that for the next 6 to 12 months and tell you, you just messed up. Okay. Wow. What you said was the best thing I came up with. So either accept the fact that it was done in 9 months because of me or realize that it's not good for everybody. It's on you. So what do you want to do here?
It's a win-win for him.
So it's a double-edged sword game he's playing with everybody. Yeah. And again, I'm thinking that's the strategy he's making.
What you're saying is he's crazy, but crazy like a fox.
Yeah, he's very good at knowing what people respond to. I probably told the story, but I remember that my buddy said, I knew he was going to win when they were talking about Romney. And they go, now, do you think that Romney, do you think the fact that Romney is so rich is a liability for him politically? And Trump goes, he's not rich. I'm rich. You're not going to win that. You ain't winning that. And then the best was when Bloomberg was running.
Too short.
And Bloomberg is this big. Now, I don't know if you saw what he did. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was amazing. You know that Bloomberg never said, he goes, the problem is I like Mike, but he wants a stool now to debate. And that's what he's saying. He goes, he wants a stool. I say, if you're short, be short. Why do you need a stool? You want to be eye level with me. If you got a stool, I get a stool. You know he didn't ask for a stool. I was like, bro, I'll vote for you. I don't even like you. I'll vote for you on that.
I had to laugh. I said, we're going to start with some humor. I mean, all the stuff going on, it was just absolutely amazing. And I thought it was really interesting, too. These guys are having a good time, and they're just showing the brilliance of President Trump and why we like him so much in just a humorous way. And yet he's a fighter also, and they know he's brilliant. And so that seems to be coming up a lot in talking points, right? People are still talking about President Trump, even if they want to talk about him in a negative way. They're bringing him up, especially on these radio shows. And so I'm going to show you a clip from the Breakfast Club in a second on that. They just can't stop talking about him. And so since we're on the subject of Trump, I'll skip ahead to what happened at the Reawaken tour when Eric Trump got on stage and he calls his dad. It's pretty cool. All right, let's go back here real quick, see if we can get to play.
Let me ask you a question. Should we call the president the real president? All right. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get him to pick up. Hold on one second. So, Dad, we have an unbelievable group. We're in Tennessee. Thousands and thousands of people. They absolutely love you. I love you, but they absolutely love you. Did any person in this room vote for Joe Biden?
Well, I really appreciate it, and I think it's great, and I can't imagine anybody voting for him, and especially now. There might have been a time, but there's no time now. But I just want to thank everybody. I love Tennessee, and, we won Tennessee by a record amount. Nobody's ever gotten those numbers of votes, and you sound like the nicest group. I'd much rather be with you than the people I'm with right now, I can tell you that.
Me too.
But, and I hope my son's doing a good job. He's a great guy, and he loves the country, and he loves Tennessee, and I'll get out, and we'll make a trip with Eric together in the future. But, we have a great love for your state, and I appreciate that they voted for me to the extent that they did, because it was a record. I think it was the highest vote anyone's ever gotten. So... Time. Have a great time, everybody. 2024. 2024.
We're gonna get him. Take care, Pops. I'll speak to you later. Love you. What do you think? Is he not the best?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. And the folks in Tennessee are just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So many to talk to, so many from so many different areas around the earth. And man, the encouragement must have been amazing for him. And so then I'll jump ahead to something I wasn't going to show either till later. But since we're talking about President Trump and 2024, they had the GOP primary poll. And this is what they have, 48% Trump.
Showed that Trump is at 48%. This is among Republican challengers. DeSantis at 31, so Trump's up 17. And Mike Pence is at, I believe, 8. Mm-hmm. Trump's higher in the favorability than he was just a short time ago as well. So is this having some boomerang positive effect for Trump? And how so would that manifest itself beyond just this one poll?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, and there's definitely a boomerang effect, I think, for Trump, just in and of because of the way that the media treated him and this revelation. And now we've seen with Joe Biden in a similar situation, the way that he's being treated. So I think Trump's been very vocal about the fact, he released a statement, video about this, slamming the Justice Department and him being persecuted. And that's always, I think, rallies people, Republicans, even some who aren't his biggest fans, rally to his side when he's treated in such a fashion. So I think it does have a short-term positive effect. We'll see how this plays out and how it'll affect him long-term. But certainly it's good news for him in the short term in terms of his favorability popping up.
Very interesting. Could backfire. And I like that word boomerang, right? We see that all the time in our comms. This can all come back against these folks, the evil ones. And especially when they're trying to crush President Trump, they had this out there for folks to see, like these memes or these caricatures they put together, FBI and DOJ crushing President Trump with his red tie, classified documents, in agreement that they're going to try to do everything they can to destroy him. And yet they place Biden on the hand and they pet his back and say, it's okay, we've got you, even though he's holding all of the illegal documents. That right there for sure is something that we all tend to notice even more so throughout everything that we're talking about, right? And so anyway, I'm going to come back to this clip right here. They can't stop talking about President Trump, even if it's negative. They just can't handle it. They have to bring him up. Why not bring somebody else up? Because he's definitely somebody who's staying in the brains of most people because they know he's a winner. And so this is somebody called Charlemagne the God, I'd never heard of, and a co-host DJ Envy, don't know, claim Biden should be tested for dementia. Here we go.
Your plans?
I was going to ask you,
Like,
do you think he should be
age-
tested? Do you think he should be tested before he's able to announce that he should be able to run?
Tested for
What do you mean tested?
For what,
Dementia.
oldness?
Dementia.
But how come nobody? I don't understand.
I
Like,
don't think so.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, are you suggesting that have you seen something that suggests that he has dementia?
Yes.
I saw him talking to a ghost.
Yeah, he was talking. he was talking to the ghost. He forgets a lot. There's times where he looks confused, doesn't know where he's
Did you
walking.
see him in the church the other day?
They write things on his hand and on napkins,
Well, that
so
was a
he
black
knows.
church, and he
I write
was a bit
stuff
out of his
on
element.
napkins.
But he writes things on napkins like "leave after this," "look left," like
The man was singing
Oh,
happy
that's so-
birthday to
you
somebody
guys-
and forgot the person's name.
yes, like
Oh, that's normal too.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's very
I
normal.
think that happens.
Let me say this about the leave after. That's a staffer passing him a note, and I'll tell you this for a fact. Like Capitol Hill, we have to do all kinds of things to our boss, like write in big letters to our boss, time to go, you gotta go vote. They sound very basic to people that run every aspect of their lives. You getting baptized on fire with this right now.
But he
with
spoke to a ghost. He spoke
Yes.
to a person that wasn't there.
And when they gave him the directions when he was leaving, it said up, left, down, select,
Shut
start.
up.
Okay, well then let me ask you
This is
this:
silly.
Would you
This
rather
is
have?
silly. This is silly.
But then let me ask this: Would you all rather have Biden with dementia or Trump with all of his issues?
They two wings on the same bird. That's
I
how I
disagree.
feel.
I disagree.
Well,
Two
if the
wings on
bird
same
is America,
And
sure.
And I don't know
Both
why.
presidents.
And I don't know why y'all sleeping on Trump like Trump can't win because y'all know that Republicans gonna get
He
behind
could,
whoever
or
is
even
the
worse,
candidate.
DeSantis.
I don't think that any of us are sleeping on anybody. I think the reality of it is we engage a lot in saying, oh, it's just as bad. People did this to Hillary Clinton when she was running in 2016.
Yeah.
It was,
Could
the
y'all
lesser of two
Could y'all
evils.
be honest for a second? Y'all don't want Biden to run again. Y'all would much rather have somebody.
Who would you like to see?
I don't know, but I know y'all don't want Biden.
I really want to see what the slate is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
We keep having
But
this
that's the-
imaginary
I think he needs to be-
But that's the
conversation.
point. You want to see it. You
I don't
want to
need
see
him.
other
But
options.
Who's gonna
here's the
primary
thing.
Biden?
Envy, you're talking about you want to see him tested. What's his name should have had a mental evaluation before he was
I
President
agree.
Trump, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
that's the kind of testing that should be done. We have to go through a character and fitness test for to be lawyers, and they're running. They're literally the highest office in the land. No
You're right.
testing, so yeah, there should be testing.
And the only reason I
know
say
we're
that
over.
is if he doesn't understand what's going on and he's asking so many questions, who is running this damn country then?
There's a whole staff. There's a whole cabinet of people. There's a
It's
vice
not a monarchy.
I know it's
you
not a
like,
monarchy,
there are
but-
plenty of people who are in decision making.
And I don't think it's fair to say like he's not aware of what's going on. I'm sure he has his moments. You know, my dad
He
is
has
80
his
years
moments.
80
He's
years
the
old.
president. You got it.
But he's the president.
at all times.
He does know what's going on at all times.
I don't believe
Yeah,
that.
all right.
That man didn't know that
All
woman's
right.
name when he was singing Happy Birthday.
Y'all sound
Singing a happy birthday. And she seems very frustrated. She's trying to defend something that is so obvious to so many people on this earth, and yet she's blind to see that something's up with this guy, this character, Biden. If he's an actor, he's playing a good role because he's destroying them and they can't handle it. And you notice when they bring somebody up and they say, who would you pick? Who would you pick? Oh, they didn't bring up a name. They have nothing. Yet on our side, on the Republican side at least, they're trying to throw Ron DeSantis there. They don't have anybody to talk about. Yeah, Mary Grace said, I like Trump, but he needs to stop tweeting. That's what they say out there, right? She's quoting what people say. I like Trump, but he needs to stop tweeting. Or, I like Trump, but he needs to act more presidential. Or, I like Trump, but he needs to back off on the vaccine. You see how this works? Same people behind this narrative, same energy, and they never talk about all the good things he accomplished with 1,000 knives at his throat. Sunshine Patriots and fair weather friends don't win wars. Warriors win wars. Ultra Pepe's Lives Matter showed something I've talked about with my own family. In my mind, Trump's Apprentice show was almost a way for him to ingratiate himself into the masses as a strong figure capable of running the country. You've Got to wonder if Trump saw The Apprentice as merely a means to an end. Become a pop culture icon, levy that power to give yourself a chance to take down the globalists. But what do you think? I always said, I think they knew for so many years when they put this plan together, many decades ago, that when they had President Trump play all this out, they use the psyche, the mind control, right? The bad guys always use mind control, prep your mind for things. I think they prepped our minds with President Trump because they knew when he runs for election, everybody said, I know Trump. You know Trump? I know Trump. Yeah, I saw him in the movie Home Alone. We watched it for Christmas. There's Trump. Yeah. So anyway, we're at the Patriot Line on Facebook. We're also at andweknow.com and thepatriotlight.com for you. We are updating these sites for more interaction. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Hard work behind the scenes going on there. We also have our gear. If you go in our description box below, amazing gear. You can wear this. And even yesterday, I walked in to, I think it was a Cracker Barrel, and I was eating with some friends. We were at the checkout counter. And the young lady said, what's that stand for? And I said, well, that's like Moses holding up the rod and the party in the Red Sea. Well, Romans 8:28, that's a Bible verse? Yes, it is. And next thing you know, she wrote down the website and said, I'm going to check this out. I need something like that. Absolutely amazing. So we have the Patriot pins also. You can wear these and have challenge coins to hand out. Really cool. So here's some more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear. So we're also at andweknow.tv. That's Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can go there and watch our videos ad-free. Pretty cool. And so here's a clip.
Time to check in with our lizard overlords in Davos, Switzerland. What are they up to? Well, this. Thank you for watching. Yeah, those people run the world. They're so impressive. What a bunch of freaks. We appreciate your watching so much. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, be back Monday, God willing. Have the best weekend with the ones you love. We'll see you then.
What a closeout at the World Economic Forum. And she's doing some kind of weird singing. Well, you won't see that in Nashville. You walk up and down, you can hear folks singing all kinds of stuff. Really good singers. You can even go into a karaoke place, stand on a stage and sing karaoke. And you can have folks just like-minded who love her country, and they get up there and they're just singing their hearts out to their loved ones back and forth. And here, so much better than that, though. It's a great experience in Nashville. And so anyway, bringing up that World Economic Forum would be Eric Trump on the stage. He talked for 30 minutes, I think, but here's a clip from that.
Hey, guys, I'll never forget this. I called my father. He's leaving Davos, right, whatever time it was, and I knew he was on the airplane, so I called up. We could get through to Air Force One. And I called him up, and it was, hello, Mr. Trump, commander of Air Force One, the president of the United States. He puts my father on. I go, I don't think they like you very much over there. It's very funny. Because I don't think you've ever had an American go over there and literally do exactly what he did. I mean, he totally turned the whole message that they preach on its head, and everybody in the world agreed with it, And by the way, what is Christopher Wray doing over in Davos? I mean, isn't this guy supposed to be protecting the interests of the United States of America? So they're more interested in raiding my father's home and speaking in front of the globalists in Switzerland than actually protecting this country. Like, that should trouble every single American, and it should really trouble all of us. And, we've really had an interesting week, by the way. So I was the guy that got the call when the FBI showed up at Mar-a-Lago. One of my guys called up. He goes, sir, there's 30 FBI agents here with guns. And I go, why would 30 FBI agents be at Mar-a-Lago? Well, they want to come onto the property. And I'll never forget, it's really interesting with what we're going on, through this week and seeing Biden go through this week. But isn't it really amazing that it took 30 FBI agents to show up at Mar-a-Lago for the president of the United States, and they kicked every single one of our lawyers when they got there. They kicked every single one of our lawyers off of property, right? Yet this week you see it, Biden's attorneys just go to his garage, go next to his Corvette, pick up the documents. So they threw our lawyers off our property like dogs, but yet, you just go collect the documents. You bring us whatever you find. Now, the difference between the president of the United States is the president of the United States has the ability to declassify documents, which my father did. Mar-a-Lago is slightly more secure than Biden's freaking garage, which you could probably... Did anybody out there see that picture where it's like his Corvette? And then it's like a stack of documents. There's probably some drugs in the corner from Hunter, right? Because Hunter lived in the house for a couple of years. There's probably a lot of that, right? So there's probably drugs in the corner, but you literally have this stack of documents, right? In this small garage, the garage door's, totally open. So they give my father a hard time. He was actually president. He can declassify documents, but yet vice president, who's not allowed to bring classified documents to his house, right? Who has them stored in his garage, which isn't watched by Secret Service, and whose tenant is Hunter Biden, is given like a total pass, right? I mean, guys, the systems of justice in this country are absolutely insane. And what's kind of interesting to watch now is they're all eating their own. I think they realize that they don't want Biden to run anymore. So it's the first time you see CNN actually, like, they're turning on him. Everybody's turning on him. And I go, oh, that's really interesting. So they've wanted this guy out for a while now. So the way they're going to do that is they're just going to continue to run this narrative and kind of take out one of their own. And it's just, it's really amazing. It's really amazing. But you go back and you see Biden, how could you be so careless? And by the way, guys, I'm a real estate guy. If you can ever get $50,000 a month, I know real estate substantially better than I know politics. If you can ever get $50,000 a month in rent for a $2 million house, you take that every single day, all day long. If your cash on cash return is effectively, 40 months? Doing the math in my head, you lock that in and you do every single one of those you can possibly do. And isn't it kind of interesting that Burisma was paying Hunter pretty much the same damn thing as Hunter was paying the big guy? The big guy. Yet I'm the guy who gets subpoenaed every day. The guy who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, no girlfriends on the side, no nonsense. Right? I'm the guy that gets the subpoena every day, yet the guy with the laptop from hell who's getting $50,000 from Burisma, a company in a country that he doesn't speak the language, in an industry that he knows nothing about, and then takes that same amount of money and pays, or similar amounts of money, and pays his father, the then vice president, to rent a house at substantially above market terms. I mean, what father charges their son $50,000 a month to rent a beach house? Like, isn't it like, Hunter, go enjoy the thing for like a week or two, and then get your stuff out of there. Don't have any unwanted guests show up. Do me a favor, please. Keep the unwanted. But guys, this is the system, and they get away with murder, because if you're on that side of the aisle, you can get away with anything you want. And if you're on our side of the aisle, if you believe in God, if you believe in the Constitution, if you want to do good things for this country, if you live a clean life and an honorable life, if you're not on their team, they will try and slander you, and they will try and destroy you, and they will try and take you down every single day.
That's right. Brings up a lot of good points, and he continues on, and it's amazing. Cash Patel was up there, too. He's put out the government gangsters of the First Order. Chris Wray said in Davos yesterday, the best way to defend Americans' national security is the FBI to join forces with the big tech. Can't make this insanity up. They want us. Why does the CIA get away with overthrowing governments worldwide for many decades, assassinating presidents, JFK, and countless others, taking control of the mainstream media and other institutions for propagandizing, this is from Q Alerts, the peoples, and so much more? Why didn't the military NSA put an end to this decades ago? My hunch, the military, needed the right commander-in-chief who would legally put the framework in place and who would be clean enough and protected enough to weather the attack. attacks. That's decades of planning for President Trump, for sure. And so here we are, another clip out of Reawaken Tour from General Flynn.
If you are asked to be the next Attorney General of this country, would you take the job?
I got one condition. Only if Mike Flynn is the next Secretary of Defense.
All right. Okay. All right. Now you're just having fun. Okay.
Now they're having fun. They were having fun the entire time. Plus, they were giving great information out there for everyone to hold on to. Absolutely amazing information. And so it's a lot of fun. And then you can also see the serious notes from General Flynn. Absolutely amazing to hear from him also on this.
Bank digital currency. Okay, keep your hands up. If you heard about it on podcast, keep your hands up. Right? Is that what you're hearing? Because you're not hearing about it in the mainstream media. Okay, hands down. Central bank digital currency. The United States of America, this current administration signed an executive order on the 8th of March of 2022. It's Executive Order 14067. How many of you heard of that? Okay, so less number of hands, but Executive Order 14067 is an executive order on central bank digital currencies, and it is in effect as of 13 December this past month. And this current government, along with some private actors, are right now in a beta test, about a 90-day beta test. And that beta test is to start to test this idea of a central bank digital currency. Now, all that said, how many of you heard? I saw this the other day in a United Kingdom video that I was watching that was sent to me from a friend overseas. How many of you have heard of these things called 15-minute cities? Wow, so that's good. I'm glad that people are paying attention, and there's more and more. Right now, what I understand is we have about 100 locations around the world that are testing this idea of a 15-minute city, which essentially says you're going to live, wherever you live, you're not going to be able to travel more than about 15 minutes from your home because there's nothing that you're going to need that we can't provide to you. Okay? So central bank digital currency, this idea of 15-minute cities. Now we have this thing called ESG. How many of you heard of ESG? Good. So that's really good. That's actually uplifting to me because the more we know about it, the more we can get, the more we can get out in front of it. ESG is environmental, social, and government score. Okay? What's funny is that prior to the Twitter files coming out, Elon Musk had, Tesla had a very high score. Now all of a sudden he's got a very low score, right? Because the government gives you that score. So if you're a corporation or a business, and right now it's only really affecting the big businesses that are out there. It's not affecting small businesses yet, but that's the goal. Because there's another thing. How many of you have heard of something called the carbon footprint? Carbon footprint. Okay? So all of these things, they are all like data points, and they're all strategies that are being put in place by these psychopaths behind me here. And yes, am I on live stream? I hope I'm on live stream, and I hope this is like the highest number that we've got. These people are actual psychopaths. Okay? Because anybody, as you just heard and you just saw, the great Jim Brewer out here talking about it and making, we have to mock them. I mean, that's what I love about Jim Brewer. He just mocks them. But all of these things that I just described are all things that are in play right now. These are not conspiracy theories. You can go to timefreeamerica.com, go to Clay's website. You can see all of this stuff online in their own words. It's in their own words. So one thing, and I'll throw it back to Clay. 2023, I call it a year of transition, and this is where we got to be out in front of it. The year of transition is really for two things. It's for the financial system, and it's for the health system, global. Okay, not of the United States of America, but this crowd back here, they are now this week talking about, and they'll finish up this week, they're talking about really two big fundamental things that they want to change: the financial system of the world, and we'll talk about BRICS maybe here in a minute, and the health system. So, Clay.
Way to go. And so we see that system in Davos, and somebody sent this clip out and said, look, there's not very many people there at this annual meeting in Davos. If you can see that, it's kind of dark on your screen, but as they bring that light up, you can see there's a lot of empty seats in the back. Could be they're running to the restroom. Maybe they took off and said, I'm bored. But bottom line is, you just don't see a lot of folks there. And I remember when President Trump was there, it seemed like he had quite a few show up just to hear him speak. I mean, he draws crowds around the earth. Tilman showed this. Flynn, 6 drops, perfect reverse, 642 timestamp. A recent survey reveals that if your New Year's resolution revolve around weight loss, half of all Americans are with you. One of the easiest ways to recommend jumpstarting your New Year's resolutions is with this amazing keto powder. This substance helps you tap into many of the weight management benefits of being in ketosis, even without the need for extreme carb restriction or having to go through the infamous keto flu. I'm impressed because in just a week of taking this, I've noticed a significant difference in appetite and cravings. I want you to try it as well and experience the amazing effects it had on me. Get a bag today for 51% off, plus receive several free bonuses before their New Year sale ends by going to ketowithok.com or simply click the link in the description box below. That's ketowithok.com. He put this out on the 20th of January, right? Tyranny of the majority is still tyranny. Our freedoms are at risk. Now more than ever, we must stand for our constitutional republic and take up the call of our founding fathers, liberty for all. Sharing this article, join us today. And that's something. And it matches the reverse, 246. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. Thomas Paine, The American Crisis. One thing you noticed when you talk with folks there in Tennessee, many, if not all, said they're involved in something locally. They're involved and set up a podcast. They're involved and set up something in their school system if they work in a school to stop the masks and more. It was very encouraging to talk to so many who are on the front lines doing great work. And they would have these journalists that Elon Musk says, power to the people. They confronted Greta Thunberg. I'm not going to show you the video from it. Just showing you that, citizen journalism, number one. Number two, long-form videos are published directly to Twitter now. You can post long videos holding the WEF oligarchs to account because the regime media won't. That's right. They confronted Greta Thunberg. They walked with her. She just giggled the entire time. They were asking her questions like, what do you think about these people flying here with these aircraft? Aren't you supposed to be against all that? And more. And speaking of all of the meetings of these Satan globalists, you'd have Vanity Fair putting out the icon issue, Madonna. Once you realize that these people are in a literal cult, if you're not looking at it, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 swords going into the heart of Madonna, and she looks, and she's got tears coming in her eyes. It is sick. The newest cover, disgusting. Babylonian sun god worship. Symbolism will be their downfall. This isn't about right versus left. It's about good versus evil. The world will awaken to this truth. It's a literal cult. Everything's falling into place to wake up the masses and their minds. Part of that wake up would be Japan. This came in from disclosed.tv. Japan plans to downgrade COVID-19 to the flu status. Isn't that something? And Elon Musk replies with ... period. And so hydroxychloroquine, remember we brought this up that President Trump said hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin taken together have a real chance to be one of the biggest game changers in the history of medicine. He put that out March 21, 2020. He was doing all he could to let folks know about this, to know that this was a regimen that you could use. Even Eric Trump brought it up on the stage at the Reawaken that his dad, was talking about chloroquine. And what happens? They attacked him. The media attacks him. They don't want you to know the effects that hydroxychloroquine can do. It allows viruses to attack cancer cells while leaving cells. They leave the healthy cells healthy. They leave them healthy. This is a clip from America's frontline doctors.
It's laughable. It says here, malaria drug chloroquine does not inhibit SARS-CoV-2. So this study came out this week, and this is in tissue culture. So I looked at the study, and I thought, that's interesting. I don't know what happened there, but let me look at it. So then I saw KLU3 lung cells. So they said, hey, it may work in kidney cells, but it doesn't work in lung cells. So in our evidence, yeah, it can work in vitro in kidney cells, but not in lung cells, right? So I thought, well, that's interesting. So I worked at MD Anderson. I was in ocular oncology, and I thought about it. I said, I've heard of that cell line before, KLU3 lung cell. It's an adenocarcinoma. It's a lung cancer cell. So I tweeted, I corresponded with the author, and I said, I am so happy for your study. You just showed one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen. I never thought I would see something so clear. You just proved that when virus is around and chloroquine is around, chloroquine will let the virus attack a cancer cell. I think about that. So it will protect a normal cell, but chloroquine will not protect a cancer cell because they're dedifferentiated. The receptors are different. I mean, think about that. So I told him back. I said, thank you. That's the you completely misinterpreted the data, and you hid the fact they hid it. They put it all the way down. As you know, you have to look for the data set. So I found it in the appendix in little letters, KLU3 lung cells. So this is the disinformation campaign that we are faced with. They put out a big thing and they said, oh, it doesn't work. They put it on Medical Express. That's it for chloroquine. It's unlikely to work against SARS-CoV-2. We just proved it. No, you proved chloroquine is one of the smartest drugs in history. It will let the viruses attack cancer cells, but not normal cells.
Isn't that something? The more the truth comes out, the more we realize what's going on. Elon Musk said maybe worth considering chloroquine for C-19. This was back in March 16, 2020. He said hydroxychloroquine probably better, March 16, 2020, showing you a graph and how it works. A lot of folks are out there trying to get folks to wake up on this whole thing. Yet what they do, they forced everybody to get this jab put inside of them and more. And so you get this investigation into all this.
Well, one of the things I was thinking is, you brought up Jared Kushner, and one of the reasons I didn't really feel compelled to investigate those transactions is I knew the media actually would. That was my main point, and this is what people like Chuck Todd don't want to admit, is that the bias in the media is one of the things that is inflaming our politics. Certainly conservatives understand that we don't have a fair fight here. It's not a level playing field. The bias in the media is very obvious to us. And so what we really do need is we need a free press, but we need an unbiased press, because we want a media that is holding both sides equally accountable. And that's not what's happening right now. And that's one of the things I was trying to point out, but it's hard to get a word in edgewise when you're being interrupted all the time you're answering a question.
Yep, this is Ron Johnson, who's been doing all he can to get the information out about all of this jab stuff and more, and yet the media will not participate or support in it. Yet Tucker Carlson seems to be doing a great job. General Flynn pointed out that he seems to be putting out some good information, and they even have the pilot panic, the FAA loosening health requirements for pilots. Wonder why.
Here's something pretty amazing that happened without much notice at all, without any explanation publicly. The FAA just made a major change in the health requirements for pilots with heart damage. The FAA has significantly broadened the acceptable EKG range for commercial pilots. Steve Kirsch reported this on his Substack. Now, the change now allows people with injured hearts, cardiac injury, to fly. Now, the FAA made this change last October, just after the vaccines were rolled out and made mandatory. Why? Well, we reached out to the FAA today for an explanation. They claim they, quote, follow standard processes based on data and science, whatever that means. Lieutenant Colonel Teresa Long is an Army flight surgeon. She joins us tonight to assess. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on. So this, raised some red flags, I would say, for people, given what's at stake in commercial air travel. Why do you think the FAA did this?
Is very obscure, because extending the PR interval from the acceptable range of 120 to 200 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds does not improve safety. And I would like to see the data and the research that they based that decision on. In aviation, we are a data-driven institution, and everything centers around risk mitigation. So making that broader actually puts the public at greater risk of a pilot having a cardiac event that didn't get caught because they've extended that range.
So here we are, allowing pilots to have abnormalities with their heart to fly because they're seeing damage and they need the pilots to continue to fly. Why would all this be thrown at the people? Anton Walks, if you didn't notice, was Charlotte FC defender. Anton Walks dies at the age of 25. Why? Moderna is planning to mark up the cost of the COVID vaccine by 400%. Taxpayers invested all this money to develop it. Yeah, $2 billion, $500 million. Moderna raked in $19 billion in profits over the past 2 years. Big pharma's getting filthy rich at our expense. And the expense seems to be hurting many, many people. As we play all this out and we show you, I've got many that reminded me to continue to keep us updated on all of these things that are going on. So whenever I go to the COVID BC reactions on Telegram, you can see over and over the effects that it has on folks. You have pericarditis from Shannon Quesnel here shown on social media, fully jabbed. You got a guy here named Gary, fully jabbed, bragging about it. Let's get jabbed. We can do this. December 2022, he's gone. They said he passed away unexpectedly. Another one, Clark here, showing off his card, his jab card and Moderna, and next thing you know, he's unexpectedly passed away on social media. This is all shared with COVID BC Vax, so you can see folks just are not getting it still. They're not understanding what's going on. They brag about getting the jab one day, and then in case I forgot to contact you, I want to let you know that Bart Skinner McVeigh passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. Heartbreaking for each one of these that come out and they're pushed out on social media and brag to the earth, and everybody grabs a hold of it and said, well, you're posting this publicly. And now what's going on? We're finding folks, 25-year-old, loses his life in a bus. Passengers thought he was sleeping. 2 strokes and a large brain bleed. Jab July 8, 2021. Here we are in 2023, or 2022, had 2 strokes and a brain bleed. And the folks continue to grab things, and they say a year later, 2 years later, things are starting to add up. It seems to be the jab. Deep sadness. Gone. One day bragging about the jab, the next day, gone. So we have just a reminder, zstackwithawk.com. If your immune system needs to be clean, resilient, and resistant, you can go over there and grab it. It's in the description box below. And so I think that was very interesting today to kind of share with you what's going on the tour, how they're continuing to bring up President Trump in the psyche of many on radio shows. Those for President Trump, those against, regardless, they still talk about him, and he still has a following. Big support of 48% over DeSantis, 31%. We'll see how this continues to play out over this season as we get closer to a 2024 election. Will be here before you notice. We know time definitely seems to be flying for many. So let's keep everyone in prayer. Let's continue to lift up General Flynn in prayer. These warriors, Kash Patel, Eric Trump, the Trump family, and more as we continue with this battle. As warriors on the battlefield in our local communities, get involved and support wherever you can, wherever the Lord leads.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, again, we are truly thankful for you. We thank you for bringing folks together that are like-minded, who don't agree on everything, but do agree on one thing, that in most folks' hearts, that you are in control. God's got this. We ask for continued guidance and direction in our minds and how we can help somebody one-on-one personally, how we can help somebody in our community, how we can help someone in our local body of believers, in our counties. Thank you for the ability that we have to pray for others, to send down the mighty angels, to protect many who need protection, especially General Flynn, the Trump family, Kash Patel, and more, those that are on the front line showing themselves. Fighters, warriors, thank you for the folks that seems like they're not very significant, but they're doing the best they can with their podcast, with their standing up against the school boards. The many who we had a chance to meet this weekend with so many fighters. Folks who have claimed that they come to know Christ due to podcasts like this one. Thank you for allowing us to participate in this, for using our voice crying in the wilderness. Repent. Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Thank you, Father. What a great God you are. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your continued support and your love. Absolutely amazing. So encouraged. Angie, Jamie, Steve, so encouraged. So encouraged. You guys mean so much to us, and we feel the love. We feel the prayers. Let's keep going. For now, this is LT saying Semper Fi with Them We Know. Signing out.